Welcome, 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 Thurligans, fans of myself and fans of my super secret author here. I know I'm late, but I'm always late, so get used to it. I hope you guys are excited because the worst kept secret is that I have a guest tonight, and it's a guest that you guys are hopefully going to be familiar with. I know we share a lot of fans, and I'm hoping that, well, let's just say hi. There she is. How are you, Lex? Thank you so much for joining me. I know as writers, this is super awkward for me, so.
No, this is the first time I've ever done any kind of video thing, so yeah.
Well, I mean, if I can do it, then you can do it. Listen, I'm very happy to have you on. I'm here because you launched your book, First Girl Gone, and I've read a bit of it. It's fantastic. There we go. You got the paperback. Did Book Couture send that to you?
Yep, they sent
Okay. Well, we're gonna save some details. So everyone in chat, listen. I'm already getting roasted for being late. Yeah, it's Lex Victoria. You know who it is. Oh, you can't hear very well. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna reset my audio. Is it too low? Is the audio too low? No, it can't be. There's always technical issues. This is par for the course. All right, am I back? Is that better? Oh, her audio is not coming through.
Oh, mine?
Oh, you know what? I think I can fix that. Could you say something again? Tell us a joke or something.
Hello. Well, my dog is staring at me. He's very curious to know who I'm talking to. That's invisible.
All right, can you chat? Can you tell me that you can hear her now? I turned it up. Give me a thumbs up, something. Okay, well, I'm gonna assume I turned it up now, so I can assume you guys can hear. But yeah, sorry. So we're here to celebrate the launch of your book, and you're in New Mexico.
Yeah, we just moved here about a year ago. We were in
Okay.
Michigan before that. So.
Okay, yeah, because I thought we were kind of in the same time zone, but
Yeah.
is New Mexico the
Formerly.
Right, and New Mexico is not the same time zone. Okay.
No, we're Mountain Time.
All right, cool. I'm gonna pretend I know what that is.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, it looks pretty sunny there, so I assume afternoon. Cool.
Yep.
All right, listen. Congratulations. You hit what? Did you hit 16 on Amazon with this book?
16. Yep.
That's where you peaked?
We were one spot ahead of Obama, which I think might be like probably the pinnacle. We have some screenshots of us near other big authors like Stephen King and Dean Koontz, but I don't know if you can get bigger than a president. Like,
No, the POTUS takes it.
yeah.
Well, that's amazing. For everyone in chat who doesn't know what that means, first of all, like the first 5 spots on Amazon are pretty much reserved for their own publications, right? Like they push their books out as you know they're apt to do and with every right to do. But if you're in the top 100, you're basically printing money. So like, that is amazing. And you know what? One of my questions I wanted to ask you is that, or if you've ever gone wide, but then I realized that this book has gone wide as well. So not only do you have this windfall from Amazon, but how are you doing on the other sites?
We don't have any numbers yet
Right.
because we're going through Book Couture, so they have all access to that. But when we looked at Kobo, we were on a bunch of those lists. I can't remember. I don't know Apple stuff, so I can't figure out how to see their lists. But yeah, we were wide when we first started like years ago.
Right.
And once Kindle Unlimited came out, it was like way too beneficial. So we haven't been wide in a long time. And one of the reasons we kind of did this was to see what happens if you go wide and you have a publisher that kind of knows what they're doing wide, because we don't know what they're doing. And there are no Amazon ads on Kobo and Apple, so those are a lot harder to navigate. So yeah, so far it looks like they're doing pretty good, but
Okay.
numbers.
Understatement of the year. I'll be honest. I just having you on because I'm hoping that by posting your book and having you speaking to me, that like 1% of your buys come over to me and buy some of my stuff, because that's pretty amazing. I hit 88 in the store with one of my books, but that was only because it was in Prime Reading. At the same time, I got a BookBub. A BookBub's like a promotional site, and it just rocketed me up, and it was amazing. And then I quit my job and I did this full time, and now I'm like, oh god.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish I could do it again.
Yeah, we had that once.
Yeah,
Stacked the Prime Reading with the BookBub, and that was our best ever.
yeah.
But this is the best launch we've ever had, obviously, because it's different.
And for those who don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of your other books are exclusive to Amazon, as are mine. Mine are all exclusive. Is that right? Yeah. So so this is the first time that you've gone wide, like recently. I know, being enrolled in Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, I've always been wide. I've always wanted to take some of the older books out. I'm just too scared, and also it's a lot of work.
We talk about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't do it.
I mean, it's like on the one hand we go, and we talk about it all the time. We go, what if we took some of the older books? And then we go, it's so much work, because it really is. You can't just put them in those stores and think they're going to sell. It's like you have to figure out, how do we market to Kobo and Apple and Google and Barnes and Noble. I don't even know if our publisher put it up on Barnes and Noble as like a pre-order or anything. I think Barnes and Noble's just kind of dumb.
Dead, right?
They never really got their shit together.
Yeah, yeah. No, but just logistically putting it on all those sites, it's brutal. Like, you got to sign up for Apple. You got to. I don't even know how you do it on Apple. Apple apparently used to be a mess. Google, and then you have to upload everything, and so I could barely keep up with Amazon. As my fans know, I just keep pushing deadlines back. I'm the absolute worst.
I mean, we get these free days when you're in Kindle Select, and it's like we're always like, we should use those, and then it's like another period goes by and we go, we didn't use any of those. Why didn't we do that?
Exactly. It's the exact same thing for me. I always just forget the old ones. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's funny how, like, really, to be successful on Amazon, outside of a select few, it's all about putting out new content. Because, like, old books for me do not sell. I don't know if your experience is the same, but
yeah, to some degree, in the Darger series, our original thriller series, we have pretty good sell-through. But our older series, it's like, we didn't know what we were doing.
Wait.
It took us a long time to figure out, just in general, that series were, it's like you get people hooked on this idea and these characters, and you kind of say, hey, I got something new here, instead of saying like, okay, whole new book, whole new set of characters. Do you think you're interested?
Right, wait, hold on. But you said it's Violet. What was her last name?
Darger.
Okay, I've been saying Darger forever. Okay.
People sometimes say that. We had some audiobook narrators that said that, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. I just looked at it. I was like, oh, that's close to Dagger, so it's got to be a hard G. All right, cool. Good to know. Good to know. All right, so like I think. Oh, I just want to let the chat know, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to ask throughout, and I'll just pose them to Lexus. I don't know if she's on the chat at all, but that's fine. I can read them to you.
I can see the video, but I can't see comments.
Okay. That's probably for the best. They're scathing right now, so.
Hecklers.
Yeah, hecklers. That's all we get. Trolls. We get trolls in here all the time. And also, I realize that your name is not LT Vargas and Tim McBain, but because that's your Facebook thing, I put that there as your contact. It's funny, when I asked you guys to do this, Tim was like, basically he's like, hell no, that's Lex. Lex will do that. And I was like, okay, I guess. But thanks again. So if you want, do a little reading from the book and we could talk about it. And then I got a couple questions, like hard questions to ask you. So I hope you're ready for this.
Oh, no softballs?
There's no lobbing softballs here.
All right, this is the prologue from First Girl Gone. Kara kicked at the wood chips beneath the park bench, flinging flecks of red every which way. Something about the activity jarred her out of her daze, highlighted the level of boredom she'd now achieved. Christ, this was how she was spending her Christmas break, sitting on a park bench kicking wood chips? The street was dead. This part of Salem Island always was. Even the air itself seemed lifeless. Overcast sky, the gray shade of stone. No sun, no breeze. Kara checked the time on her phone again, wondering what was taking Maggie so long. She should have been here by now. She felt his presence before she saw him. bodily responses communicating the signs of danger one by one. A prickling of the hair on her arms, a chill climbing up her spine, her breath hitching in her throat. Someone was watching her, someone in the shadows. Kara locked her eyes on her feet, searched out of the periphery of her vision. There was a darkness there, a hulking across the street, a man. His broad-shouldered silhouette framed in the doorway of one of the boarded-up shops, and he stared straight at her. She fidgeted on the bench, wished she could keep still, convey no emotion, like playing dead. The last half hour flashed through her mind. She'd wandered down here after the fight with her mom, stormed out of the house, and then circled through town, killing time, smoking cigarettes, cutting through lawns, waiting for Maggie to come pick her up. So where was she? She glanced up, eyes seeking and finding him at last. He turned his head the other direction, overselling the nonchalance. That chill in her spine grew colder, shooting up her back and hovering between her shoulder blades. He looked like he could be in witness protection, covered up to the point of ridiculousness. Chunky sunglasses screened much of the face behind sheening black plastic. A Detroit Tigers hat rode low over his brow. His hand rose to cover his mouth, index finger and thumb pinching at his top lip like a crab claw. She froze, watched. After several heartbeats, she spun away and walked off in the other direction. She held her breath as she watched his figure grow smaller, breathing again only when he disappeared around the corner. Relief. Her shoulders sagged. Tiniest puffs of laughter exited her nostrils in staccato hiss. It was nothing, of course, just some rando out for a friendly afternoon stare with his best pair of Kim Jong-il sunglasses on. Her trembling hands peeled the soft pack of cigarettes out of her left hip pocket, adhered the crooked tube of tobacco to her lips. Then she fumbled back into the pocket for the matchbook, struck one, brought the flame up under her chin. She inhaled, tasted the sweet breath of tobacco smoke. Right away, the nicotine calmed her. Maybe it was the habit more than the chemical itself. She texted Maggie, "Hurry up, I'm freezing my ass off." When the Marlboro was about half gone, she stood, her heart still hammering away inside. Weird. She hadn't even been that scared, not really. She'd tell Maggie about it later and they'd laugh. Kara the paranoid. She crossed the street, stepped up on the curb to the other side. The library was only a few blocks away. She could loiter inside until Maggie texted her back and avoid dying of hypothermia. She made sure to avoid the doorway where the creep had stood, reassuring herself in a little whisper that she was overreacting, though she didn't quite believe her own voice. The cigarette smoldered between her fingers, mostly gone now. She held off on hitting it again, not quite wanting to let go of it as she approached the corner where the man had disappeared. She chewed her lip, couldn't help but picture the man in the black sunglasses lurching out from behind the wall of the donut shop like a mountain lion leaping for the jugular. She held her breath as she rounded the corner. Nothing. He wasn't there. Just another sleepy street on Salem Island. She crossed to the next block, jitters still running up and down her limbs. She lifted the cigarette butt to her lips and hit it, tasted the caustic tang of melted plastic. She'd burned it down to the filter now. Shit. She flicked it toward the storm drain, the cherry detaching upon impact. She swallowed and her throat clicked. He lunged out of the bushes, a ski mask now covered his face, his arms outstretched. He gripped her around the shoulders, an awkward hug, forceful. Kara screamed, threw an elbow into his gut, heard a woof of breath knocked out of him. Now she stumbled into a run, choppy steps, half falling. He leapt after her, fell flat on the concrete. His right arm shot out and hooked her ankle, tripped her at full speed, thunked her head first on the cement. Dark. Stars. All of reality seemed to suck down into a tunnel. The world around her grew smaller, smaller. A little circle cut out, dark around the edges now. He rolled her, lifted her torso, hands snaking under her armpits, each finger pressing into the soft flesh there, and he dragged her face up. She could hear choppiness in his footsteps, hurried and uneven. Her head lolled, neck slack. She watched through slitted eyes as her limp legs dragged over the concrete behind the two of them, but she couldn't feel them, couldn't feel much. When he tried to shove her into the back seat of the sedan, she lurched, clawed for his eyes, for his maxed face, missed, and he dropped her. The back of her skull thumped down on the asphalt. Things got far away again, distant, quiet. That black circle around the edge of things cinched tighter. Enough already, he hissed between his teeth. He knelt over her, picked her head up, and slammed it down again, a solid connection of skull and concrete that shot bolts of lightning through her vision. The last circle of light retreated. The darkness became total. The end.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Like I said, I started reading the book. It's fantastic. I'm a big fan of you and Tim.
Thank you.
I got a bunch of questions here, but first, I owe you guys a thank you, in particular Tim, because when I first met you, it was because he had written something on his website or blog. He had selected my. You look like you have no idea what I'm talking about, but he selected my my first horror book as one of his best horror reads of the year or something, and I was like, oh my god, I'm doing something right. So I owe you guys a lot. So hopefully I'm returning the favor by getting all these millions of people to watch you read your book. A couple questions for you.
Well, it's always good to get the word out about good books.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like you were mine. Thank you. Okay, a couple questions for you. Also, Chad, I turned her up a little bit. I'm still working out how to do this, so I hope you could hear it loud and clear. Victoria says she's reading it already. She loves it. Catherine is waiting on, these are more comments, but waiting on more Violet and Victor books to read. David says that Barnes & Noble is the Scattered and the Dead right now, so that's pretty funny. Catherine also wants to know when there will be another book with Violet and Victor back together. Or will there be one? That pregnant pause.
There will be. It's possible the next one. I can't remember if they will be back together. So.
All right.
It will happen. I can't remember exactly what the plan is for the next two.
We'll go with soon. That's my favorite answer when people ask me when the book's coming out. Soon. Very soon.
Exactly. Yeah. Or do you have the thing where you put out a book and literally that day you get emails saying, when's the next fill in the blank?
Yeah,
no,
seriously.
Out today.
It happens all the time. I mean, I'm not complaining because it means they love it and they're on to the next one.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
I need, I'm getting older. I have a longer refractory period between books. Ashley, my wife, who's the biggest troll ever, wants to know if Tim can show his face or if he's too shy. I'm just assuming that he's too shy.
Oh, he's definitely too shy. See, the unfortunate thing here is that we're both pretty shy and awkward, but Tim is more shy and I'm more awkward. So then you get me on video when he's actually better at it. But
okay, so that's why you guys work so well together. And listen, I swear, I did not pay Victoria yet for this comment, but she says, Lex, have you ever thought of doing a crossover book? Blake Crouch and Conrad did amazing with Serial Killers Uncut. I think Chase, who is one of my main characters, and Violet ganged up could do more damage. I swear I did not put her up to this. So when are we going to team up? Because I've asked you before, and you give me the same answer you gave the fans, which was soon.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you just told me no.
We should do it.
I was hurt.
No,
I was hurt.
Do it. We should
I saw you put out. I saw you put out a book with.
Did we say no?
E.M. Smith. You put out a series with him, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I was crushed. I was just devastated. So I mean, listen, you're gonna have to carry me. I think that was
already in the works, and when you emailed us, we were like, "Oh, dang."
Yeah, right. Dang.
It's hard
good thing.
We have to outline our books, and then we have to outline these other books, and it's like. I mean, you put out way more books than we do, and we're two people, so it's kind of sad, honestly. Like,
you have like 30 books, though. That's nothing to. 30 books, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Ish.
I don't know if it's there. Well, see, some of them are like novellas, so.
Right.
They're not full.
So you're
books.
cheating.
They're like short, so.
Listen.
Definitely not 30. I don't think we have 30 full books.
No, there are 30 titles on Amazon. Okay. Perfect segue though. Yeah. So you do write with your writing partner Tim. How exactly? Sorry, I'm notorious for burping on camera. I get in trouble, but can't help it. I'm having some tasty apple juice. So how do you guys actually do that? Because I know there are a bunch of different ways, and someone has asked me this before, and I've only recounted what people have told me because I've never done it. Because like you just people avoid my question when I ask them to write with me. So how do you do it? How does it work?
Well, everyone definitely does it different, but we generally will outline together. Like we have a wall that we put up a bunch of Post-it notes. Actually, the last time we did this,
old school,
book 3 in the new series. Yeah, and we spent like 3 or 4 days like putting up Post-it notes and then being like, okay, wait, scratch that whole thing, pull down those Post-it notes, put up new Post-it notes. It was like we're trying to get more. We used to do this thing where we sort of like almost outline the first quarter of a book, and then we'd be like, okay, we're getting close to the end of that. Let's outline the next chunk.
Okay.
So we'd have some idea of where the rest was coming, but we're trying to get more into let's get the whole thing outlined so we don't have these points where we have to stop and go, now what?
So you guys are hardcore outliners then.
Yeah, I think, and Tim's better at the organization of that. He's better at sort of keeping the whole story in his own mind. Like when I try to write stuff by myself, I kind of just wing it and pants it. And it doesn't work well because I do get to points where I just go, I don't know what comes next. And I'm stuck and I kind of lose motivation. So it's helpful to have a partner that goes, hey, let's just figure out every little sequence in this story. And then we don't have to stop and go, I'm stuck.
Okay.
So once we have the basic outline and really rough beats, like it's on a post-it note, he will sit down and sort of write a more detailed outline that's usually like 10 or 20,000 words. And we'll have little bits of dialogue and stuff like that. And then we kind of divide it up and start writing it.
So back to
we're often writing simultaneously.
Okay, so I'll get to that in a second. But with the post-it notes, are you both literally like sitting there writing, oh, this is cool if Violet something happens to her, like,
yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, you do it like, so you both are putting stuff on the board. Do you have the board there? Can I see this board, or is that top secret, eh?
I'll walk you over to.
All right, look at this.
See if you can.
Okay, so it's a wall.
Bessie, yeah.
And the pigeons are there for inspiration. I like it. All right, cool.
Yeah. We try to do like cork board, but the cork board I have is too small, so eventually we started going to the wall and then we kind of spread out.
Yeah, well, I have a desk where I have 2 monitors, way too much shit, by the way, cameras, microphone, and all that, and I just need more room. But I'm here stuck in the bedroom, so quarantined up here.
Yeah.
And so when you both write at the same time, meaning what? You write different chapters, different characters. You just start from different points. Like I'll write the ending.
Yeah, a lot of times. Because
I would be like, you write the beginning. The beginning's terrible. I'll write the end. That's the fun part.
Yeah. Usually I'll do the beginning, and because part of the time, especially with the Darger books, they're a lot more Darger heavy, and then he'll write the serial killer chapters. That's sort of his forte. He does all the creepy stuff.
Right.
And but we'll divvy it up, and so I'll take like the first quarter, and he knows what the quarter point is, so he'll start writing after that, and then we kind of at a certain point put those together and make sure everything's kind of lining up right. A lot of times we have stupid stuff where it's like, well, my thing that leads up to this was in the morning, but yours is in the night, and that doesn't really make sense. So now we have to go back and change all the stupid setting stuff about,
you have to have like
the sun's not setting anymore.
Or no, what I do is usually just put like an awkward scene where it's like, and then she slept and woke up 2 days later because we had to speed things along. I know where you're at there. And so what happens after you're done the first draft? Do you look at his stuff? Does he look at yours? Do you read it together? How does it work after you've gotten the first draft done?
I think usually he takes the first editing pass and he goes through and makes sure everything's right, and then I go through and take my pass. So yeah, it's often gone through several edits by the time it's ready for the next step.
Which is
so a lot of people, I hear people complain. We actually before now have not used any professional editors because we kind of are serving as each other's editor.
That's
but yeah, with First Girl Gone, that was one of the weird things. Is we had to send it to our editor and then the proofreader and then the copy editor. And it was like, it's weird to have a book done. And we finished that book in March. So to just sort of sit on it until September was really weird.
Yeah, I mean, from an indie perspective, that sucks, right? You're just losing sales, right? The longer it sits on your shelf.
Yeah, and it wasn't for pre-order, so there's that. But yeah, it was a weird period of time to be like, usually we get a book done, and as an indie, there's not really any benefit to sort of sit on it.
Right.
And we talked about that before. We're like, we should write ahead. We'll write like 3 books, and we'll have a bunch in the bank. And then we're always like, we finished a book. Let's put it out.
Liz, I don't know if we're completely in sync or if this is all indie authors, because that's exactly what happens to me. I'm like, oh, I'll write 3 and then crush them and I'll take over the world. It's like, oh my God. Literally 99% of the time I'm like thinking about a book and then I'm like, oh shit, fucking Amazon deadline. I got these emails, the dreaded KDP emails. Please there's a countdown timer. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta work.
Yeah, we've avoided doing pre-orders until now because we were like, what if we missed the deadline? This would be... I mean, we're like, yeah, we don't like having deadlines. So we're like, we'll just take it at our own pace and then we can do it however we want. But the pre-orders we have done, we have seen that like there's definitely some benefit there.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what's going on with the algorithm, but yeah. We had some
Well,
comparisons. We were like, how come this book is doing so much better than that one? We're like, oh, we did a pre-order on that one. Maybe there's some sort of magic
mhm.
juice there.
I mean, the concept is great, right? So they finish the book and it's fresh in their minds, and they're like, okay, I want to order the next one. It's up. I am
Yeah.
probably the absolute worst at missing deadlines, but Amazon, I hope they're not listening now, I don't know if I want to say this, but during COVID, they've allowed some flexibility for canceling, moving stuff around. They've changed a little bit. They used to give a lot of power or control to traditional publishers on there when they've moved their deadlines around, and indies they were a little more stringent, but they've since relaxed that, which is really nice. But yeah, no,
Well, that's
look,
good to know. Because yeah.
I say to my fans all the time, like I get it, like you expect a book at this time, you've pre-ordered it, they haven't paid, right? They don't ever pay until the book is released, but they get pissed off and have every right to do it. But listen, I got three young kids. I got a homeschool throughout 17 months of COVID, so
Oh my
it's
gosh.
a nightmare.
I cannot imagine. Especially it was sort of like abrupt. It was like, okay, you're homeschooling now, so
I was like,
you know how to do that.
I went to Mexico for their March break, which was the beginning of March, and then on the way back, I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like there are all these people wearing masks, you know, during the all inclusive. Like I don't know what's going on, right? I'm just at the pool sucking back margaritas and watching the kids, hoping they don't drown, and it's like, it's like, okay, they're wearing masks. What's going on? I get home a week later, my wife's like, okay, I have to work from home now. I'm like, okay, this is my personal space, not allowed.
Wow.
Then it's like the kids are out of school. There's no camp. So yeah, it's been a hectic time. But now they're back. But every time they get like a sniffle, you know, with kids they're always sick, especially they're in school. I'm like, no, tell your teacher you have allergies. Yeah. It's just allergies. You can't say you have cold. They're gonna shut down the school. I'm gonna be some sort of leper. Like it's not allowed. Anyway, safety first for sure. But I'm hoping that it stays open.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's your process. Sorry, I get off track. That's what I often do, by the way. So that's great.
Same here.
So then, how was it like working with Book Couture? For you guys who don't know, Book Couture is kind of like I think it's owned by, is it HarperCollins? It got bought by one of the big five.
It's Hachette.
Hachette, okay.
It got bought by Hachette like a year or two ago, I think.
Right, but they
started out indie, so
yeah, they're not. They're really, they know how to market indie books or books the way that some of the big publishers are still kind of, you know, trailing behind. So they're new age publisher, I guess we can call them. But how was it like working with them? Because to my knowledge, you have never worked with one before, correct?
Yeah, this is our first time. I mean, the first book we wrote and sent to publishers, they told us it was too dark.
Right.
And so we kind of shelved it for a couple of years. And then we heard about KDP Publishing, and we were like, wait, you can just put books out? Why didn't we know about this? So we tried that and never looked back. But yeah, it was pretty cool because there's a lot of stuff that we as indies kind of have to handle ourselves, like covers and editing and proofreading and all that stuff that we really didn't have to worry about that much. We basically wrote the book, sent it out. They send us back what they get from the proofreaders or the copy editors, and we go through and make sure, this is all to our liking, and sign off on it. And they send us the cover when it's done and say, you like it? And we give a thumbs up. And so it's a lot of stuff that we kind of don't have to worry about. And like I said, the additional stores of Kobo and Apple and Google,
right?
Not sort of being able to get in there and not have to figure it out ourselves and they probably know a little more about this than we do. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, and did you ever get? I don't want to put you on the spot or get you fighting with, but did you guys ever butt heads and say like, no, this has to be this way. They have to have blue hair or something. Did you have any? You did, okay.
Yeah, there were some things. I mean, one of the first thing we pitched was that the character is a private investigator, and our editor came back and said, could we make her a cop, because detectives kind of sell better, like
for sure.
Police force, and they have all these. They can have sort of a cast of characters with all their coworkers and their boss and whoever else they're working with. And we were like, we kind of do police procedural pretty directly with the Darger series because she's in the FBI, and we didn't really want to do a direct same thing again. We kind of want to do a slightly different. So we said, I don't know, this character's a PI. And we sort of said, if you really don't want to do a PI and you're not comfortable with that, then we can sort of pivot and we'll come up with a different story. But the story that we envisioned for this book was definitely a private investigator. So we were kind of like, this character is a private investigator. If you really feel strongly that you don't want to put out a private investigator book, we'll try to come up with something else that fits what you want. And she said, all right, I trust your gut.
Okay, that's good.
So she's been they're pretty respectful. Yeah, I think it's weird because we haven't ever dealt with it before. And I think we were like, how hard do we argue for what we believe in? And what's us just being like, no, I want things my way, and what's saying like, all right, let's think about this.
I only want red Skittles. Give me red Skittles. I don't want any other colors in the bowl. That must have been a strange experience. There have been times
where we thought, it is, because we're used to basically putting a book out and being like, no one gets to question us. We have absolute authority. And then having someone say, are you sure about this? So some things I think it's actually been helpful. There were
super passive aggressive though.
Things where we were like, where
are
she had suggestions and we thought, okay, I see where her problems are coming with this, and maybe we can figure out a way to make it more clear what we intend here, and then hopefully less readers will be like, I don't know if I like that. So
right,
it's interesting having a third party that's as invested as you. Versus kind of, you send it out to your art team and they're like, and I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you use art teams. Okay, so you left that out. Do you use art teams?
Yeah.
So it's an advanced reader copy for those who don't know. Okay. Wow. So I've never done that before. I have 2 editors on retainer, and it gets, after I finish, it goes to one and then comes back to me, and then I send it to the other one, and then I do a final read through and I upload, and that's pretty much it. I've never worked with art team. It makes me super uncomfortable, I guess. I don't know if uncomfortable is the right word. I could come up with a better one, but I mean, I didn't reach 16th in the store.
Generally, our art team is, they're getting a fairly finished product, so like they've rarely had anything like really like bad to say about anything. I would say usually they're catching minor things like typos or dumb inconsistencies that somehow we missed. There was one time where there was a book where they were like, this ending was a little dark, and we were like, all right, maybe we'll take out some of the like really violent stuff and kind of tone it down just a touch. So
that's what I love about your books, though.
Stuff, we go pretty dark.
I know, and I think
we just thought if readers of our books are saying it's too dark, maybe it's a little too dark.
I love that, though. I think one of the scenes that has stuck with me from one of your books is the scene where they're working at a McDonald's or something, and there's like a head in the grease and the oil in the garbage bin. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That better be your book. Please be your book. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
fast
the
food
opening of Dead End Girl.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Whew.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read that one, but I love that scene. That's super dark. You guys are one of the few that write horror and thriller, kind of very similar to the way I do it. Well, not the way I do it, but what I've done. But the difference being is that once I got some sort of mainstream success in the thriller genre, I have yet to go back. It's really, I talked about this briefly this morning because people are always asking for the 7th book in one of my most popular horror series, just because it's just, there's more readers in the thriller, mystery, woman sleuth genre than there is in horror. So, and I'm always behind deadlines, so I'm always like, oh, I'll get ahead, just like you said, and then I'll write that one, and I'll do what my super passion projects. But you guys go back and forth, right? You put out a Scattered in the Dead not too long ago.
Yeah, honestly, that was only because we had sort of this dangling open-ended series that we were like, we've been promising this book forever, and we get emails like probably on a weekly basis, people saying, what about Scattered in the Dead 3? And every time we put another book out, what about the Scattered in the Dead? And we go, oh my God, we have got to finish the series. So yeah, I mean, we have the same thing because we both really like horror. Tim reads a ton of horror. Like he probably reads 5 books a week, maybe more than that. And we always talk about, I have this great horror story idea. And then we're like, we've tried writing horror and it's hard. There's just something about it that's hard to sell. I was talking about one of our other author friends, Dan Padavona. He started out writing horror, and he said the same thing. He said, I started writing thriller, and it was like, I'm a horror guy, and I love thrillers too, but like once I started selling thrillers, it was like, I can't imagine going back to horror because it's just so hard to find a spot. I mean, it's like the Stephen King and the Dean Koontz guys kind of get all the sales, and then there's
Yeah.
a small pool of indie horror authors, but it's just not the same as our thrillers.
Listen, but I would argue
it's
that
hard.
Stephen King doesn't really write horror. He's like all over the place. Thrillers,
It's
sci-fi.
been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
With Dean Koontz, I don't think he's really written straight horror for a while. So
No.
maybe they figured out the same thing we did, which is that, yeah, horror needs like a rebirth or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's great.
I know. I love it.
Just no-
I grew up reading like Clive Barker, Christopher Pike, R.L. Stein, and obviously Stephen King.
Yeah.
But I think horror is a tough sell, partly because it's polarizing, right? So it's like comedy.
Yeah.
Some people find comedy
Yep.
super funny, even though if they like comedy, and some people are like, no, I hate that guy, he's terrible. So if people like thrillers,
Yeah.
they'll be like, oh, I like a thriller. You know, you could dislike or like a book, but they're not as polarizing, I find, anyways.
Yeah. And I think 80s horror movies maybe kind of drove it into the ground. It got like way overexposed.
I love those.
And I think some people have that idea. I know I do too, but I think some people have the idea that it has to be like super gory and super bloody. And I think there's a lot of horror that's not that way, that could appeal to a much broader. I mean, some of the thriller audiences, I mean, I feel like we are and you are and a lot of other thriller audiences are sort of writing a blend of suspense, horror, touch of mystery. But there's a lot of horror there. And I think that we're saying it's a thriller. So all the people that go, oh, I don't like horror, don't get
Exactly. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is The Blair Witch Project, and I know a lot of people who just absolutely hated it. They're like, it's so stupid, I almost threw up because of the shaking, blah blah blah. And I can understand their perspective, right? Because you never see any sort of demon or ghost, but that scene of the guy in the corner is just chilling to this day.
Oh yeah, terrifying.
Yeah.
Yep. Tim likes to. He says he periodically wakes up in the middle of the night and says, "I wish I could start just yelling." Josh, like in the Blair Witch Project, just to scare the crap out of you.
He should just be standing in the corner. I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
My wife's listening, I think, but like, you know, the Paranormal Activity when they're just kind of hovering over, eyes closed, just twitching.
Yeah.
I was like, man, if I could do that and go live with that, fans would love it. She would divorce me, but I mean, whatever, prenup, right?
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I want to get back to horror, but I'm like you. I think I need to take a bit of a. I gotta pay the bills, right? I got 3 little kids that eat a ton. Okay, I'm gonna get some more questions here.
All right.
Gonna be my wife's listening, I think, but like, you know, the Paranormal Activity when they're just right. We got double speak. Oh, okay. A bunch of people are saying, Adam James says the Tiger's hat in the prologue was a nice touch. I guess that's an homage to your Michigan days.
Yep. Oh yeah, Tigers hats, Lions gear, but Wolverine stuff for U of M is probably like everywhere. You can't go anywhere in Michigan and not see somebody in some sort of University of Michigan garb.
Yeah, for sure. Lisa, well, it's like here. I'm in Montreal, and it's all Canadians.
Yeah.
The hockey team is terrible. I don't like them, but I know. Actually, I think it was you or Tim or somebody had mentioned that you were hoping that by teaming up with Book Couture, I know I said I get to the questions. I'll be there in a second. Was going to help you kind of infiltrate the UK market. Because as a point here, like, I'm Canadian, I was like, okay, they'll love me. No, I sell nothing on .ca. Like, the site is horseshit, right? Like, you can't even set up an author page. You can't do anything. Like, the books are not linked in series. It's garbage.
Yeah, I noticed that with UK because I was like, I remember someone saying, well, if you set up an author page on Amazon.com, it doesn't just go to the other stores. You have to log in to the author page on the other stores. So I went in to try to set it up, and it was like all the stuff that was already there I could do, and it was like, oh yeah, there's not any of the features that are on .com or on the .uk. I was like, all right, that's fine.
.ca is like bare bones. It's like you can buy some cheesecloth, maybe a book, and that's it. You can't come do anything. It's fucked up. So you're hoping that this will help you infiltrate the UK market. Do you know how your sales have been doing there, roughly, based on your ranking, or?
I think it's been doing pretty good, like maybe the best we've done with the launch. Although I noticed that they're like native UK authors because they have a lot of and probably European authors. They do really well there. Like a lot of them will launch to #1 in the UK store on a pre-order, which is just insane. So we didn't do quite that well, and maybe it's because they can smell our Yankee stank or something. But...
Well, in my books I put in like favorite, you know, like couleur, like we spell it here with the U's and A. And I was like, oh, Canadian, yeah, that'll be awesome. Zero crickets in Canada. They hate me. I went to the local library and I was like, hey, look, I would love to do like a reading and I'll give you the books. And then they were like, and I was like, no, okay, fine, just take the books. They're like, I'm like, what? Then I get emails from people saying, come to this small town in South Carolina and do a reading, please. We're begging you. I'm like, oh my God, like what's going on here? Canadians, they're supposed to like me. They hate
weird.
me.
I can't believe the library wouldn't want a hometown author to like.
I was like, just take the books then.
Drum up some. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, make some poutine and we'll have a good time. But no, they don't do that stuff. Lisa says she's. I know. Lisa says that she's an hour and a half in on the book on Audible. So that's probably one of the benefits with being with Bookatour as well, is that the audio came out at the same time, because mine never does. Mine's like a month later or longer.
Oh no, ours is worse than that. We're always like, people will be like a month later. Someone just asked me, Scattered and the Dead came out a couple months ago, and they were like, when's the audio coming out? And I was like, soon. Yeah.
Do you have the same narrator on all of them?
No, because we went through Bookatour, so they have like their own pool of narrators, and so they did send us. They said, hey, take a look at these. It was maybe 4 or 5 narrators, and tell us what you think. Here's someone we work with a lot and does a lot of our books. Yeah. Here's some new people, and so we kind of went through and figured out who would work best for the voice of.
They definitely
Charlotte Winters.
They know what they're doing, right? So you have a pool of 20-something books. I have a pool of 50, let's say, and they have a pool of I don't know how many, hundreds, right?
Hundreds, probably. I mean, like I think Lisa Regan's on book 10 with them, and
she's killing it.
On, like, 10, so it's like crazy.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love writing long series too, just because that way later in the series I don't have to remember exactly what they look like, because I always forget. So then the fans already know.
Someone complained about that in one of the Darger books. You never say what she looks like. And I was like, I might have mentioned a few things, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the like opening chapter where the main character stands in the mirror and touches their
that's the best
curls and their
It sounds like the beginning of a porno all the time, right? It's like, I'm in the mirror looking at my hair. It's like, okay, no one does this. You just have to pick like one feature. So my character Chase is super short, so I'm like, okay, I'll just remind them that she's short, and it'll be kind of quirky, and they'll be like, okay, that's enough description for today.
I can't remember. Some author calls that a peg leg, and they're like, just give every character a peg leg, and then you only have to remember that one, and that's your little thing.
That's it. Well, I was talking about.
This guy has a mustache.
Yeah, exactly. Curl it, right? Wax tips. But I was saying this morning. One of the characters had a stutter, and I was like, well, as I stutter and I say that ironically, but I thought this would be a cool thing, right? It's an absolute nightmare. Like the voice recording software, because I dictate, will not do it. It assumes that I naturally have a stutter, so it just takes it out. So I have to go type it in.
We're helping you out, bud. Here.
Yeah, I know. They're like, sorry about that, but here you go. And then I give it to the narrator, and she has a conniption. She's like, what the hell is this? Like 3 pages of stuttering? Like. So then, I had to, I fell just short of bopping him on the head, so he could adjust it. He got some special speech training, so I got rid of that.
Yeah.
All right. So we have.
You get bad reviews from people complaining about well, maybe you don't use the Lord's name in vain. Okay. No, I use everyone. That will say, we get here every once in a while, like maybe once or twice a year, we get an email saying like the last one it was very well written, but I will not be reading any more of this book. It has the Lord's name in vain, and I don't take that I take that seriously. And then it was like, this is a book where women are getting dismembered by a serial killer, but we said Jesus Christ. That was, over the line.
I get it for saying the F word. It's like too many F words. I closed it. I'm like, literally, this person was being murdered. Like, what are you talking about? Where do you live that people do not swear? So I just ignore that. Actually, I stopped.
Get killed calmly.
Be very, just say thank you. I will go now with the Lord, right?
Be polite while you're being murdered.
Exactly. I actually stopped reading my reviews. Like when I put out a new book, I'll just make sure that it's not like all zeros and I messed up somehow.
Yeah.
But
you're like, oh my God, did I totally screw this up?
Seriously, was it written in Pig Latin? I don't know. But no, like generally, when I first started with my first book, maybe you have the same experience, but I was desperate at the reviews. Like, you have like 1 or 2 or 3, and you're like, and the person
those
writes
you. Reviews are like nail biting. Like, oh my God, what are they going to say? What if they hate it?
I got one, and now I know that it was just some other author. It was like a page, and it was all pointing out things. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, dude, this guy's fucking right. This guy's right. I should have done that. Oh no. So then I tried to go in and do some edits. Yeah, I did some edits. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, this is a lost cause. Like, I just got to move on. And I mean, thankfully I did. So now I don't really read them. I try to stay away from the bad ones.
We'll get people that email their complaints to us. So those are usually the only ones I see, because I don't read reviews either, because I realize you'll read 10 glowing reviews and you'll get to the one bad review, or even sometimes just a mediocre review, and you'll go, oh my God, how dare they? And then you go, oh my God, maybe I do suck. And you're like, okay, this is screwed up. I need to just like not read these, because I'll just look and make sure reviews are generally good. That means the book's not a total disaster. I'm just gonna move on and keep writing the next book. But yeah, sometimes we get people that sometimes we get glowing stuff review or emailed to us, but sometimes we get just, I'm not reading any more from you clowns. And then emailed to us. Like, I guess you had to make sure that I knew you were never going to read my books again.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you going to cater to them anyways? They already told you they're not going to read your stuff. But yeah, I think that's innately human. Like, I could read 100 good reviews if I had that many, right? And then I get one bad one. I'm like, I'm the worst. Where's that drink? I'm suck. I'm never gonna write another book. It's seriously like that. So I stopped reading them. But actually, my wife was on my Instagram, and she did a very funny thing where she read some of the bad reviews that I got on my books. So kind of like the mean tweets thing. I don't know if you've seen that, but I think it's on Jimmy Kimmel where he gets the people to read their mean tweets. And I have seen that. She read some of these, and they're pretty hilarious. They're like, literally the person will bring something up that I legitimately addressed for that very reason. And I don't know if they didn't see it or they just stopped reading. And I'm like, oh, you're so annoying. But that was pretty funny. I was crying a little bit. Yep. All right, a couple more questions. What are we looking at time? You still okay for time? I know you probably have to put some more notes on the board. All right. You might need a refill, though. I know I do. Victoria asks both of us, what's your favorite author to read when you aren't writing? For me, it's easy. It's L.T. Vargas and Tim McBain. But for you, what is your favorite? What is your favorite to read?
Well, actually, now that you say that, I started listening to the audiobook of Skin last night.
Okay,
you.
Yep. Well,
because Tim, we read a lot of horror in Halloween season. We like reading books. So I said, all right, a new horror book. He said, well, you should read Skin by Patrick Logan because it's one of the best that you haven't read.
Oh, geez, I'm blushing.
So I put it on my audiobook, and it was After Dark, and I had to go out and turn our irrigation things on to water our plants because we're in the desert. Yeah. And Santa Fe is in the mountains, and so mountain lions are an occasional sighting around here. So lately I will stay in the yard after dark, but if I forgot to take the garbage up, I'm like, all right, I'm waiting till morning because it's not worth getting mauled by a mountain lion to take the stupid garbage up. And so I was out there and I was turning the hoses on, and for anybody that's read the book, it starts with and that scared the crap out of me. My first thought was, oh my God, there's a mountain lion, it's happening, I'm gonna get mauled. And I was like, okay, it's the audiobook, and I just crapped my pants. So
there you go. Well, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. I hope Tim does the laundry. My narrator, he made that book way better than it is. He's fantastic. He's done almost all of my Drake series, and he's amazing. I love working with him. We've been working with him for years. Okay, so outside of myself, who do you like to read or listen to, or?
Let's see. George R. R. Martin is a favorite.
Okay.
In our house. We've been fans of Game of Thrones for a long time. And let's see. Eden Hudson is an author friend who writes really good books. She has the Jubal Van Zandt series, which I think there are 4 books in the series right now, and I'm awaiting the 5th because they're one of my favorite books. Let's see.
Oh, those are like
a lot of Stephen King and a lot of Dean Koontz.
Are those like lit RPG almost? Is that how I'm looking at Eden Hudson?
She does have a lit RPG series called
Oh right, Soul Jar. Oh my God, I didn't know that you guys were into.
Yeah, those. Yeah, the Jubal Van Zandt series is like kind of cyberpunk sci-fi.
Okay.
And I don't actually read a lot of that, but these are really good. They're like highly entertaining. Really, some of the funniest books I've ever read.
Oh, that's great. That's a new
thing. I mean, John Sanford and
So you read mostly
I think he's one of the better. I mean,
traditional. You going against you're the enemy right now. You read traditional authors instead of supporting your fellow indie authors. Okay.
I do
Guys,
a little both.
make a note.
Eden Hudson, she's an indie.
Correct, but
and you're an indie,
George R.R.
I
Martin.
read a lot of Lisa Regan. Oh yeah, not an indie at all.
No, he needs your $14
indie.
Kindle book price.
Yeah. Yeah, I still can't figure out why the traditional publishers are still sticking with that. Like, we're gonna try to charge as much for the paperback as or sometimes more.
Yeah, more.
I mean, I think well, sometimes it's like $16.99 for the Kindle, but $15.99 for the paperback, and it's like, let me do the math there. I think I'll get the paperback.
Yeah, when the trade paperback comes out, it's like $7, and the Kindle's still $14. I'm like, oh my god, it's a nightmare. For me, I
so don't want ebooks to take off, and it's like, you guys are fighting the ocean. It's like, what are you doing?
It's Blockbuster.
You cannot win this.
Blockbuster. There's a story. I don't know if it's true, but
exactly.
Netflix approached Blockbuster with their idea and said, "Let's team up." And Blockbuster's like, "No, that'll never work."
No,
we've got free popcorn.
Yeah, exactly.
We have free popcorn. It's delicious. Some of the authors that I've been reading.
I miss going to Blockbuster.
Okay, is there one in New Mexico? There's one, I think. I saw in John Oliver one time there was one remaining Blockbuster in the entire U.S. and I thought it was in New Mexico.
Yeah, not that I know of. Yeah, it's been a while, years since I've seen a Blockbuster. Sometimes you see empty ones that are sitting there, sad and
sad and lonely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reading Anne Fraser. Do you read Anne Fraser at all? She wrote
Body Reader.
Body Reader, yeah. And she, yeah, that's her.
Yeah,
that's her.
No, I did read that. That was really good. I love that. I've been meaning to read the second one, on my audio list. I'm really bad. I'm so behind. I've only been listening to audio lately, and only for an hour before bed. Tim somehow manages to he really will. He'll read a book in a day, and I'm like, what the hell? I can barely read a book a week.
I just throw the audiobook on when I'm at the gym or mowing the lawn or going for a walk and kill that time.
Yeah.
Although I for whatever reason I love podcasts, so I listen to more podcasts than audiobooks. But her new one,
it's almost like you have to pick. I think if
I know you have to pick, and the audio I just love the current nature of podcasts. It just came out and it's about current events. I listen to a lot of true crime, so it's this thing just happened.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Anne Fraser's new book, Find Me, is ridiculously good. It's so good and very dark, super, super dark.
Yeah, I'll check that one out.
And
I can't remember if she's the one I read. There's an Anne that's been done really well in Kindle, and maybe even is she an Amazon imprint? I can't remember. Yes. Yeah. She's Thomas I think
Mercer.
it might be her that she got booted by her publisher because they had an issue with one of her books where they were you have to change this character. I don't like it at all. And she was like, I really don't want to. And they're like, well, if you don't change it, we're not going to give you any publicity on your books. And she was like, all right, I guess.
She did this, right?
Yeah. She's like,
killing it.
Good work. Why would you, why you want to kick that to the curb?
It's just always a power play. I don't understand. It's weird games because she's been killing it.
Yeah.
Mary Stone is another one that I quite enjoy. Again, female protagonists who are
any of those, but I will.
Super dark. Those are the ones I've been focusing on. Oh, and
there's another question for. You go ahead.
I was gonna say A.G. Riddle, the Atlantis Jean. Yeah. So I started getting into those. They're just super long. I prefer shorter books. I think.
I read the first one. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Tim was just complaining. He's when he reads a long book, he's like, it took forever to read. I like short books.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I read the first Atlantis Jean, and it reminded me of I read a lot of Michael Crichton when I was a kid.
Yeah. So it's like that and Dan Brown.
Somebody that sort of
Dan Brown and Michael Crichton kind of team up.
Yep. I was gonna ask you though, do you find that people are more critical of your female leads?
I don't think
so.
I feel
like there's almost we get weird stuff. No, we get weird stuff every once in a while about Jar Jar, especially with being romantically attracted. They'll be sort of complain about that. I felt like it came out of nowhere, and I was like,
"Oh, really?"
James Bond bangs a new lady in every book, but nobody complains about that.
Yeah, not a new guy. Well, maybe the new one. Who knows? But yeah, No, I don't. Like Chase had this thing where she was just like sleeping with everybody. That's the way she dealt with her problems, and I don't think and nobody really had a problem with it.
Complained?
No, I mean, so
well, that's good. Maybe it was just one or two people that were close-minded.
I just try to, I try to do like, if I don't want to be, political here, but like if the guy does it, then the girl can do it too. I wanted a strong female lead, and I wanted her to, not shy away from these things, and so that's how I wrote it, and that is my best-selling series. So it did something right. I don't know, the cover probably. Yep. Which I didn't make, but. All right, we'll get to a few more.
No, I think it is. It's that don't judge a book by the cover thing is sort of like wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are you supposed to do? Read the whole book and be like, oh, maybe I like it. Maybe I'll buy it. No.
Yeah, no,
it's cover for sure.
No, I see a lot of people that sometimes they go, I have friends that have started writing and they go, no one's buying my book. I think it sucks. And I was like, if no one's buying it, then no one's read it, which means they don't know if the book sucks or not. That's not the problem. You Probably need to get it in front of more people.
Yeah, either that or your cover looks like it was drawn by a 4-year-old for sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Adam asked, have you ever considered writing in present tense? I'm not sure what.
I'm pretty sure our first series, which is the Awaken the Dark series, is written in present tense. So yes.
Okay, for all the listeners who don't know what that is, maybe myself included, can you remind me what present tense is? I mean them, not me, of course.
So yeah, especially a lot of I think third-person books are written in past tense. So it's Violet walked through the door.
Yeah.
Everything, all the verbs are ed.
That one I know because that's what I write.
Yeah, exactly. So present tense probably could be third person, but it's more often first person, which is probably why you see it and you don't see it. It's either an either or thing. So it will be I'm going to do walk through the door again because I can't think of anything else. But
I open the door.
My gun. I pull the trigger. Yeah, it's happening right now. It's actually weird. I write my first drafts are word vomit, and I often write them in first person, or not first person, but present tense, as if it's happening now, and then I go back and have to switch it to third past tense.
Wow, you're just making it more difficult yourself all the way around here.
I know. Well, I was going to say, I watched some of your podcasts and I watched you dictating, and I was like, I've done a little bit of dictation. And I was kind of like, this is mind blowing to me that you can just sit there, especially how polished you do it, because mine are, like I said, when I do dictation too, it's word vomit. I can't remember to do punctuation. Like I can barely remember to do period, new line. And then it's like, there's a whole lot of like, Jar Jar takes off her boots or something. No, scratch that, because she already took her boots off in the last scene. So yeah, it's just a mess. So the idea that you could write, like, I think a fairly polished first draft in dictation in front of an audience live is like insane. Like I have to go into a room by myself and be like, nobody can hear me. So nobody can hear me. I'm just talking to myself.
Yeah, no, my wife thinks I'm an insane person, like a robot or something. And then, like, when I speak to the chat sometimes, I'll be like, oh, yeah, so that chapter, period, new paragraph, I was thinking about writing in a certain way, comma. And I'm like, there's something wrong with my brain. But I've been doing it for a long time now.
Like dreaming that way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Did you start out doing it that clean, or did it take you a while?
That clean? I don't know about that clean.
Yeah.
It's not super clean, though. Like, I forget everything. I don't know, like... I just find that if I do what you do, like where I'm like, oh shit, she took off her boots already, she put them back on, or what's this person's last name? Then it pulls me out of the story, and then I'm like, oh, it takes me so much time to get back into it, so I just go with the flow, and I don't really plot at all. I just kind of have an idea of what's gonna happen, and like I said, it works for me. But I know I'm a bit of a mental case, and why I punish myself by doing it live, I have no idea. All right, so I was reading. I'm actually listening to this book now called "When I Was You." It's pretty popular on Amazon. I'm listening to the audiobook, and it's in first person, and I'm like, I don't know. It's quite angsty to begin with too, and it's from a female's perspective. So I think maybe I don't relate, but I don't know if I enjoy that first person. Like I was sweating, my undercarriage. Whatever. Anyways, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, I think first person is one of those ones that the voice comes through so strong that it kind of has to hit with you or not, and it might just be like, nope, this one doesn't work. Okay,
yeah,
it does.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I have a bit of OCD when it comes to those things. Like I just want to finish it. Like I can't leave it, even though it's not been my favorite so far. But I'm like, oh, should I move on? Like, no, I got to listen to it through. But yeah, it's super popular. It's like 3,000 reviews or something, which is nutty. Which, you know, like the darker book, you guys have been clinging on to that spot forever, just doing fantastically well.
We're kind of we periodically go, what? How is this happening? This doesn't seem right. Like, what's going on here? But yeah,
and
we're really lucky. And we actually have noticed. Have you noticed lately that they started letting people leave Amazon reviews without like text, just the rating? Because
I didn't see that.
We were like, we noticed this book has like, it went from like the first day it had like 12, and I was like, that's not great. And now it's like, I think it's over 100 now. And we were like, what? And someone was like, well, okay. In fairness, a lot of them are ratings and they don't have any reviews.
Yeah, who cares?
When did they start doing that? And he was like, I don't know. Sometime recently, because it used to be you have to write what, 5 words or something.
Yeah, something like that. Review. And there's those annoying reviews. I'm writing, you know, like the guy from the Super Bowl. I'm only here because I have to be here. It's like, I have to write 5 more words. I'm being very annoying. Look at me. I think authors care the most about reviews, though. I don't think readers really care. I've seen a bunch of books do really, really well with shitty reviews. And I'm kind of curious, so I'll download it and read it. But readers are just like, they're attracted to certain things. I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to hurt if you have a bajillion 5-star reviews, but I don't think it means that much to the reader as it does to us. To our, you know,
and I think it depends on what it is. If the review is, there's too much swearing, I go, well, I don't care about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I ignore those, and if that's what most of the bad reviews are, it's like, okay. But it's kind of them, but maybe it is for me.
It's kind of like looking at restaurant reviews. It's like, one is, this is the greatest restaurant in the world. The other one is like, there was a fucking rat in my soup. I hated it. And I'm like, it's literally in the middle somewhere. It has to be, right? Either they paid one person or some other, you know, competitor paid the person to write the poor review. All right.
Moving to a new place and finding new restaurants, we've been looking at a lot of Yelp reviews. And it's like, at this point, you almost have to ignore all the bad reviews, because it's like the stuff they complain about will be like, a lot of times it's that the waiter wasn't attentive enough, didn't check on us, didn't refill my drinks enough. And it's like, that garners a 1-star review. Are you kidding?
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I hate it when a waiter is just hovering over me. Like, are you done, sir? Would you like me to feed you? I'm like, okay, just leave me. Eat. I'm here having a good time. I don't want you interrupting. Just make sure my glass is full. That attentiveness is necessary. But, okay, let's go with these questions. We got a bunch of comments about other authors that people read. Victoria really likes Matt Shaw. I don't know if you read any of Matt Shaw, but that's like the extreme horror.
I have not. Tim might have. He's like deep into horror.
It is extreme horror. It's not really my cup of tea, although I have read some of his work. That's okay. Deborah says hi from Fort Lauderdale. All right. So what's next for you guys? You guys are writing the second book. I see the cover, which is great, by the way. But I'm disappointed because First Girl Gone, like, how could you not make the book number 2 Second Girl Gone? Like, that's brutal. That is marketing faux pas on your part. Bookouture, you should put your foot down on that one. 100%. Yeah. But there's a second book coming out.
We wanted it to just be, we wanted it to be Gone Girl 2, but they said no, we would get sued for that. So thought we could piggyback on Gillian's plan.
Yeah. No, I wrote this series where it's the guy's name is Tommy Wild with an E, and so it's 1 wild night, and then it's 2 wild weeks, and it's 3 wild months, and then I was like, holy fuck, like book 10 is gonna be like now 10 what? Wild fucking millennia, like this is impossible. So I had to switch. It was a nightmare. So you guys working on that book now? Is that the one? I know it's coming out quite soon, right? September? No, when is it?
We actually finished that one.
You finished it?
That one comes out in December. Yeah, that's what's so weird about working with the publisher is, so we submitted that at the end. It might have been September. I think the first week of September, that one had to be done. So we're actually working on the 3rd book of the series that will come out in 2021.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very weird to be working on book 3 when the second book hasn't come out yet.
Imagine they come back and they're like, no, this is no. And you're like, fuck, I wrote the next book based on that.
Yeah, we always thought, like, what if we turn in a book and they're like, this is garbage.
This is utter horse shit. Go back to the drawing board. I wrote 7 books in this series, for Christ's sake. So you're going to read that for us next then, right? Sneak peek of the book too? Next time.
Yeah, next time.
If you'll ever speak to me after this. When are we going to see you and Tim streaming? Come on, it's the new thing. You can get on there.
We've talked about it. We constantly talk about like we should do a podcast.
Yeah, just a hell of a lot of work.
We can barely keep our regular just writing stuff together and on track. So taking on new projects is always like, do you have time for that?
I know. This is my wife says like, why are you doing this? Aren't you writing books? I'm like, yeah, but I like to do these other things too. So I take out on anything else.
You're writing for part of it, right? Like
right.
That early morning thing, and you write. So it's like there's an
killing
accountability thing where you can't slack off for those 2 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm killing 2 birds with one stone, but I would like to do some podcasts, like to, get the brand out there, whatever cheesy thing you want to call it, but hard. How was it writing with, I think it's E.M. Smith, so you had 3 people working on those books? Was that some very similar process? Like he just came to your house and started putting tag notes up when you were sleeping or whatever?
No, that one, Tim and I will do the outline.
And he'll
do the detailed outline, and then we send it to E.M. Smith to sort of fill it out, who then sends it back to us. And if there are any sort of like, I didn't know what to do here, I'm stuck, we'll fill that in.
Okay.
And then we also edit it to sort of say like, you know what, this scene wasn't quite what we were intending and doesn't quite lead up to where we wanted it to go. So yeah, we'll tweak here and there.
You guys are the evil overlords here, right? You're just like, no, don't do this.
Yeah. No, it's weird to be in the more editorial position with a sort of an outsider where you go, what if they're mad that I changed this? Are they going to be like, how dare you?
How was it though? You mentioned earlier that working with Bookouture it was strange with them not having the power, but telling you that it wasn't the way you wanted it. So I assume that, you like to do things the way you want. Obviously, as writers, we just do it. And now you had another person. Were you not worried that it wasn't exactly, I would write this differently or I would do this better? Or did you have any of those issues? No disrespect to E.M. Smith.
Or with Bookouture. Oh, yeah.
With E.M. Smith.
Actually, every once in a while, there would be little things like these are the books from Loshak's perspective, which is Darger's partner. And she had him refer to dinner as supper. And I never use the word supper. So when I got that, I was like, starting to change it. And I said, wait a minute, Loshak is a different character than Darger. If it was Darger, I would not have supper, but maybe Loshak says supper. Maybe that makes him different. And so I left it. And
you took the whole manuscript. You're like, no, gone. You fucked up.
No, I think a lot of those things that would be like, I would have never done that, actually make it better because it makes it feel more like a different, because you do a little bit wonder, like, am I repeating myself even when I'm trying to make a new character? Am I writing the same character just with a different hairstyle, or this one has glasses? So yeah.
So we got chat. This is the tricks of the trade here: mustaches, peg legs, and glasses. As long as you have those 3 things, then you have
different characters.
Infinite character possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay, so Victoria is commenting because my wife says that the voice I use for her is not cute at all because I always make her sound like the 85-year-old nonna. And so Ashley Logan writes entire books with a strong female lead, uses shrill nag voice to describe his wife. That's true. Very true. Supper is a southern thing, Catherine says. And Victoria wants to know why all your restaurants are Persian.
All our restaurants are Persian?
I don't know. This is a question.
I do think there's a Middle Eastern restaurant that features heavily in the Awaken the Dark series. Really, if you really want the answer, food features heavily in our series. Someone once mentioned that, like, we're obsessed
that's awesome.
with food. Like, it is like that in between scene where I go, I need time to pass. I'll have her eating because I like eating. So
yeah, exactly.
The real answer is that I like food and Tim likes food.
And you like Persian food.
Yeah, we'll be like, I had that really good hummus last week. I'll put hummus.
Hummus, yeah. No, I love to cook, so I try to put cooking into the book. And I thought about doing like recipes at the back. I just couldn't work it in with any of my characters. I thought that would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been tempted, but I don't know if any of my
Oh.
characters are good cooks. They might be all bad cooks.
So Victoria, okay, Victoria clarified and said my restaurants are all Persian, but what she means in the
Oh.
accent for the waiters are always Persian. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to that. I do weird
Is
accents.
that your accent or is it the your narrator?
No, I think that's my accent when I'm dictating. I don't know. I have to separate the characters somehow in my head, so I give them oftentimes generalized accents, and I guess I just fall into some mode. Yeah, it's weird that the dictating program. I was saying this morning. Absolutely hates me. Like, it wants you to be a robot and just sit there with your face to the microphone. I don't know if you can see it. It's like, hello. The woman opened the door, period, new paragraph. She screamed, hello. And I'm like, I can't do that. I got to get into the zone. And it doesn't like it. And one time it's like, the program said, we're detecting that you have an Irish accent. Is this correct? And I was like, no. I'm not fucking Irish. I got an orange beard, but I don't have an Irish accent. Delete. But yeah, no, the dictating has been a godsend for me because it just takes away, like when I'm thinking words, it's easier for me to think them and say them. Obviously, based on this conversation, it's pure diarrhea out my mouth, but it takes away the typing aspect, which can slow me down. So I know you said you tried it. I highly recommend it.
I've never tried doing it in front of the computer and watching the words come up as I talk, and I wonder if I thought that would mess me up, but I actually wonder if it would help more because then I wouldn't forget. No, I already said that, or I need to put in the period and the new line and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, well, you don't have to do that. I know some people who just basically take a record it, and then pay someone to transcribe it, and that person will put it in where it occurs naturally. But for me, it works fine. Yeah. It's a bit weird when I'm out on a walk and I'm doing it with my headphones and I'm talking and people are just like going across this is pre-COVID. They just walk. Yeah, and they just run away. I was doing one.
To go around you.
I was doing this one scene, and it was my crazy pathologist character, and he was literally pushing a guy through a wood chipper, and there's bike cop kept circling around me, and because it sounds like I'm talking on the phone, and I'm just kind of like getting quieter and quieter. I'm like, this would be so awkward. It's like, hello, sir. What exactly are you doing?
Yeah. Well, that's the excuse to get you out of almost anything. I'm an author. It's okay. It's not real.
Yeah. Check out my search history.
This is research.
I know. I think a lot of people have said this in the past, though. The FBI doesn't care. I'm on every list possible. Like, it's how to dissolve bodies, how to get rid of them, what drug combinations. I got someone who was mad at me the other day. They're like, you used actual drugs, not the trade name, but like the compound name. What if someone was to like figure it out and use that drug to sedate someone? I was like, okay, there's a thing called the internet, so literally you can find it on there.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I find most of that stuff. I figure, well, if it's out there.
Yeah, I'm like, I used to work.
I'm not the first person to put this information in there.
No, I know.
Onto the internet.
Although, there was this case in Montreal where this guy wrote a scene in one of his books, and it had to do with some children, right? And we'll just leave it at that. And the cops actually came to his house and they arrested him. They said this constitutes, and it was a fictional book, and he's like, "What? What are you talking?" And it wasn't like just pure lewd something or other. It was in the context of a novel, and I was like, "Okay, I was like, Ashley, save up for my bail because I'm going from 25 to life here because some of the stuff that happens in my books."
Wow.
I think we'll do one more question, and someone wants to know, with your anxiety, do you skip meet and greets, or have you done book signings before?
Oh no, we've never done any in person. We're like, if our editor was like, "Oh, do you want to do any book tours and stuff like that?" And we were like, no. Well, which probably would have gotten canceled because of COVID anyway. So
really, they were going to have you go and
they probably would have tried to organize stuff.
That's awesome.
I don't know how much. It was sort of like, they did a blog tour for this book, which was like all over Twitter. And so, they've done a lot of that stuff that I'm always like. They did NetGalley, which is probably how we got like over 100 reviews in this first week.
Yeah. I get Kirkus.
So, they've done a lot of that stuff.
Kirkus writes me all the time. They're like, "We're giving you $50 off." I'm like, I don't know. What would I do with this review? I just delete. But no, that would be cool though to do those. Yesterday I was out with my friends and we went to a restaurant and then we went to a bar afterwards, and you had to like write your name because for tracing or whatnot and your phone number.
Tracing, yeah.
And my buddy was like all over the slobbery pen. I was like, okay, you just write my name. He's like, what's your phone number? I was like, no, I got to go under an alias. I pretend I was super famous. I was like, no, just make something up, 555 film or something. Like I can't put my real number. And I was just fucking around. But some people were looking at me, and I was like, okay, yeah. They were like, who's this guy? Meanwhile, I paid for my beer in like quarters. I was like, here, take the money. Just fill it to the very top. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun. Maybe this will spur you to do more meet and greets, I guess, after this whole COVID thing hopefully resolves itself, or do some of these live sessions. I had a really good time. I appreciate you coming on here. Everybody, go and pick up First Girl Gone. Fantastic book by a fantastic author team. And that's it. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks again, Lex.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.